unknown submarine contact in the vital area. Away the Nixie team away. Away the Nixie team away. Set general quarters. Set general quarters. General quarters, all hands, leave out of station. General quarters, all hands, leave out of station.
Ladies and gentlemen, guess what?
What?
We
What?
weren't liars.
No.
We actually showed up on Wednesday,
And Sean's not here.
and Sean's not here.
The
What?
the coup was successful.
Yes, it was.
Look, there were those that didn't think you could do it, BZ.
There were those that didn't think that we could do it.
We pulled it off.
Astounding. Absolutely astounding. So, folks, if you doubted us, don't doubt us anymore.
Yeah.
Because if you thought there was going to be an empty airspace on SHR on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, that ship ain't sailing. It's here. It's in the damn port. So
It never left.
It never
It
left.
never left port.
Oh, Lordy. So, my God, now we've got a brand new show.
Yes.
What do we do with it? We have 2 hours to fill, and, you know, nothing has been happening these days.
Well, fortunately.
And we have a new look.
Well, we don't have a new look. Like, you still look like Santa Claus.
Yeah,
I still have a big nose. So our look hasn't changed, per se, right? But the show may have.
It might have
A little bit. Sean did do a lot of work with those of you that are looking us on our YouTube channel. Sean did a lot of work the last couple days on the. I'm like, I can't take my eyes off it. I don't even know what you call that thing. Fucking technology.
I know.
I have no idea what you even call it. But on the banner thingy underneath our pictures, I think that's the technical term.
Well, we run the show. Oh, that's a perfect time to say this, folks. If you're listening to us, you're listening on shrmedia.com. And if you want to watch us, like it says right now, if you're watching us, you can watch us on the SHR Media Facebook page live. And you'll be seeing this banner underneath BZ's on the left, of course, because he's left of Clint. Or so Clint would have you believe.
No, BZ is actually to my right, but
Clint
everything is clearly backwards.
Is on the right.
On camera.
And below is this cool banner now from
Yeah.
XSplit. Now, we run our shows on XSplit, and then Sackhead Sean, should I say this? Sackhead Sean actually came into the studio today, so it's not like he's dead or anything.
No. And look, he's you're right. He's dead to us on this show.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, no, Sean is dead to us on this show. However, Sean is very much alive and well in the SHR media realm. And
Yes,
and is very
he did this today, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, so thank you, Sackhead Sean. I know you're out there listening. And as a throw out to Sackhead Sean, he's not here to discuss it, but there was in fact a bench clearing brawl between the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees.
Or as he would say, Baston.
Baston.
Why
is it they can only pronounce their R's when they say Red Sox?
That's a good damn question.
Did you realize that?
That's a really good damn
Other
question.
than that, they don't pronounce their R's. Ever.
I want to go see Chappaquiddick.
Wait, what?
The movie Chappaquiddick.
Oh, I thought that was thing you got diagnosed with.
I had that once, but I got better.
Penicillin cures most things?
It does. Well, I had wet leprosy at one time.
Uh-huh.
And
Is that what happens when you're about 10, 12 years old, wake up in the middle of the night?
Yes, and then you apply various diapers and whatnot, and then your mother, I don't know, your mother steps into the room or not. I'm not quite sure. Hey, welcome to everybody in chat. There's Simone. Did you see what I did there?
I did. Hey, welcome to Against Tyranny.
Yes.
Our
first. We didn't even say the damn name of the show yet.
Who's we, white man? Yeah, I said the name of the show here.
Okay, me.
Yeah.
All right. Sackheads Against Tyranny, the replacement show for the Sackheads Radio
There's no replacing.
Well, okay,
there's no replacing.
How shall we quantify this? The substitute?
No, because we're better than a substitute, right? The next generation, the evolution of the Sackheads radio show.
There you go.
Right,
the next evolution.
The next evolution
of radio.
The next evolution.
I've heard that
in the
before
Sackheads saga. We bring you Against Tyranny.
Ooh, I like that. Now, if I could go in there, if I could go in there and snip that,
okay,
and then I could.
That's what the doctor said before my circumcision.
Right.
It's what?
Right. No. I see what you did there.
We actually have some interesting topics to talk about tonight.
We do, and it is. When we were roundtabling all this stuff last week,
which is weird because we don't even have a round table.
That's true. This one is square.
Yeah.
That one is square.
This one's actually more rectangular.
The one where I used to sit over there
is rectangular as well.
Is rectangular as well.
You don't even have your microphone.
No, let's see if I can even.
This is so odd.
That camera isn't even on. Okay, so I can't show you, but my chair over there is empty. How sad. In chat, Simone is in chat. Mike is in chat.
Simone. Hi, Mike.
Mary Brockman is in chat.
Mary, thank you, sweetie, for sticking with us.
One viewer.
Just one?
Is in just one viewer.
Which number?
Is in just one viewer. No, there's no number. You have to log in, and so this is sort of a covert viewer who doesn't really want to.
Hi, Mr. President. We thank you for viewing.
That's right, Donald John Trump, the guy with the dead orange cat on top of his head. Thank you for listening. See, everybody says that he doesn't apply himself very well because right now it's 8:10 on the Pacific Coast, and it's 11:10, and of course. The president is up listening to Sackheads Against Tyranny. Sackheads Against Tyranny, SHAT. So that makes this a
shatty show.
A shat show.
A shat show.
So, folks, if you ever wanted to have a shat show or see what a shat show looks like, again, we say go to the SHR Media Facebook page right now because it's being broadcast and you can watch it live, or the SHR Media YouTube channel where you can watch it live as well. And BZ, of course, fucked himself over last night and last Thursday for YouTube. Because when I do that, I wanted to post the show, and I said, I got to find out where all that stuff was. And I went over to YouTube and the SHR Media channel, and fuck me, this didn't... Well, okay, what BZ didn't do is BZ didn't go in and click on a box that says make it public. So the show was there. BZ just didn't know that he had to click the box, so now I got to go back and put those back in my posts. But we're going to talk about liberty. We're going to talk about tyranny. And for those people who thought that, okay, they just like they said, they were just going to make this acronym because they wanted to find something that was cool that has to do with like shit or shat or something like that. Well, okay, yeah.
No, that made it funny.
We were trying. Yes, we were trying to make it cool, and we did. I think we pulled it off because, like you said last week, I said, I don't know, shit show, something like that, and then you came up specifically with Sackheads. Okay, all right, trying to make it go, but you made it go. I mean, in the span of a half hour.
Not even that.
No,
BZ,
not even that.
On.
No, that's true. You're absolutely right.
Thank you.
In just a few seconds.
Yeah.
Being faced with the criticality of eliminating the Sackheads wholesale.
Yes.
You came up, it's like, boom. Hey, what about Sackheads Against Tyranny?
I think the Sackheads part was you, and the shat and Against Tyranny was me, and even Sean had a little like some stuff in there. I think it was a collaboration.
It was a collaboration.
It was a collaboration.
I was just impressed because it was such a rapid collaboration.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was a moment of pure genius.
It was. And it was so quick, too. It was most rapidimento.
Yes. I've had that issue.
Mary Brockman in chat says, love you and miss you, Clint.
Oh, I'm right here.
Well, he's
Mary, I'm right here.
There he is.
Yeah, no, you don't have to miss me, but thank you.
He's right there. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. No, I'm pointing the wrong way. On the screen, I have to be. Let's see. If I want to point towards Clint, okay, there's Clint.
There you go. Yes.
There's Clint right over there.
Yes.
He's this direction. Although to me, he's that direction.
Correct.
But on the screen,
I'm
Clint.
I'm this
is actually.
I'm this direction.
This direction.
BZ's that. that way. Look, I want to make something very clear. If you're looking for news, you're on the wrong show. We are not an unbiased news source. We are not unbiased. We are extremely biased in our views, and we make our views known. This is purely an opinion show. We talk about news, but we absolutely have an opinion, and we're not afraid to share it with you.
That's absolutely true. Hey, Whiskey Dale is in chat. Hello, Whiskey Dale. Good to see you.
Hello, Whiskey Dale. We are not afraid to tell you exactly what we think
and
why people are fucked up.
That's right. And we're not exactly afraid to tell you what you think or what you should need to think as well, because we're not shy in that regard.
And if you think differently than us, well, then you're clearly wrong.
That's really sad.
You are obviously wrong, and we have no tolerance for that.
No,
I'm kidding. No. We enjoy all different viewpoints, even those who are wrong. I keep seeing that follow us on Facebook thing pop up. Are we going to be distancing ourselves from Facebook anytime soon? Because there's some shit going on with Facebook.
There's a lot of stuff going on with Facebook. But hell, like all social media, you know, the thing says find us on YouTube right now. And God bless Sean for being able to do that, and the flying flag. And there's the SHR Media logo and whatnot. I'm of two minds about social media right now. We hadn't anticipated going here, but Mark Zuckerberg got his ass flamed by Ted Cruz yesterday, and then got his ass flamed by a couple of other people today. We hadn't anticipated going here, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
In 2013, that was absolutely, completely okay, because this one particular chick said that basically what we did is we raked the shit out of Facebook, and we grabbed all these people and grabbed their analytics, and we did that for Obama, and because we could do it and nobody knew that we were doing it at the time, that made it really cool, because after all, it was justified. It was Barack Hussein Obama. And I can't think of her name. His name is Carol something or other. But then this Analytica corporation came in, and what happened that people aren't being told is that there was a survey that was in Facebook that you could decide yourself if you were or were not going to partake in this survey. If you decided that you were going to partake in this survey, you clicked, and then you gave some information. And that was for the Trump campaign. What is that? The name of that place? Something Analytica. In any event, they're the ones that were responsible for hoovering up this information. But it had been done before, and now all of a sudden, only now, is Zuckerberg being grilled about this because it's bad. It's bad and evil. If social media was used to benefit a conservative, or even worse, Donald Trump, that's evil and bad.
Evil.
But it was perfectly okay when it was done for Barack Hussein Obama. No problem, no protests, no privacy problems. And the chick, Carol, and again, I can't think of her last name, was crowing about the fact that Facebook hadn't caught on to what she was doing at the behest of Barack Hussein Obama, and how cool it was that they were doing it, but the Republicans were stupid enough, and they didn't pick up on that, and they're not social media wise. And now, today, because it benefited one particular party over another one, ostensibly, but not proven, now Zuckerberg has to pay. He must pay. He is now evil for violating your privacy. But that's okay, because the Democrats did that before.
But didn't...
funny how that works
Wasn't
out.
there more than that, though? Like, Facebook was running things where they were talking about your political affiliation and pigeonholing you.
Oh, they've always done all that.
That's a problem. I think that's a problem. But I don't do social media. Anybody who's followed this network long enough knows that about me. I despise social media.
That's very true.
I don't even know why I'm on this show right now.
You know why I got on Facebook? I got on Facebook because...
I don't do Facebook. I hate Facebook.
Sackhead Sean said, if you want to promote your show and you want to promote the Berserk Bobcat Saloon and your blog, you need to get on Facebook, because you're going to get so many people going on right now. And I'll admit it, we're on Facebook Live right now. And of course, it's no surprise that we SHR Media was killed by YouTube.
Yes.
About 2 months ago.
Shocking.
For, I think it ended up to be about 60 days.
Yeah.
And so we were not notified. We just discovered one day, hey, this shit isn't working. And so Sean sent lots of emails. I actually sent emails to YouTube. And, of course, they're so big, they just like, okay, this is what we think of you, you small little people. We're not going to even respond to you at all. And then magically one day we didn't know we were coming back. We thought we were de-resed out of the ozone from now into in perpetuity. And then one day it worked.
And YouTube, I think it was YouTube that did that to the two conservative African-American females, right?
Oh, yeah.
The sisters. Yes, Diamond and...
No, I take it back. It was Facebook that did that.
Facebook that did that to them?
Diamond and Silk. And as somebody... this was great.
Harmful content.
I wish I had the audio cut up right now, because Zuckerberg today was talking to a female senator and was saying, well, we make sure that we only censor for, say, terroristic content. And the female senator in front of him said, that must be the same content that made you remove Diamond and Silk and demonetize them as well. Would that be correct? And then, pregnant pause. Yeah, because Diamond and Silk are harmful. But see, here's the hypocrisy is they're black. I don't know, folks, if you've ever seen Diamond and Silk or know who the hell they are. They're a couple of black chicks, and I think they're from D.C., and they voted for Donald Trump, and they support Donald Trump, and they're conservative. And the other cool thing is...
And the left hates them.
Oh, the left hates them. And the funny thing is, they're funny as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, damn them for being black and weighing in on a conservative bent. So, like everything else, if you're conservative, you're going to get screwed over sooner or later by conservative or by social media.
Well, look,
it's just going to fucking happen.
Well, look, not, and I know this isn't on our topic board, but look at the revival of the Roseanne TV show.
Yeah,
on ABC,
kicking ass.
Yes, a failing network, ABC, owned by Disney, I think, right, as the parent company.
I think you're right.
And the Roseanne show comes back, and she is not a bastion of conservative beliefs or ideals.
No, she can go either way depending upon the prevailing prairie winds.
Right. But she is pro-Trump for her own reasons, and the show is about her, and her character is pro-Trump, and it is kicking ass in the ratings.
All her kids are leftists.
Yeah.
And John Goodman kind of stays out of the way a little bit, as much as he possibly can. But it's KATN all over the place. And people are fucking gobsmacked. How can the show get ratings? How can this happen? You mean you must have that many racists in California? Excuse me, racists all across the nation, and people that are that incredibly biased?
Yeah.
How does this happen?
I want to know who's writing for the show. I wonder if the writers are leftist Hollywood types, or if they are not of that traditional stock. Because I would think that a lot of writers.
Question.
I would think that a lot of writers. In that, I mean, if they're writing for this show and they're writing good stuff, good comedy, good content for a pro-Trump character, I'm wondering if they're going to be able to get another job after this, or if they.
Yeah, because Hollywood never forgets.
No, they do not. No, they do not. Right? You look at how many.
Ask Bruce Willis.
Yes, or Mel Gibson. I mean, he's had some other issues too, but one who's pretty successful still, Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, but he does a pretty good job of tamping down the conservative stuff.
He does.
And I think he knows a lot of folks. Plus, you have to admit, in just about he's hilarious. Every movie he's ever been in, he is really humorous. And he can do drama too, as well, because I've seen him in a few things.
He can, but there are a lot of talented actors out there who tend to be more conservative, who...
And they're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
They may not go to political rallies and whatnot, but they're not going to tell you their alignment, because it would kill their career. Although Bruce Willis came back with Death Wish. Folks, if you haven't seen Death Wish, the new Death Wish, it's pretty damn good.
Does it play off of the original, or is it a remake?
It's a remake.
Okay.
With Bruce Willis as the Charles Bronson character. And it riffs off of Charles Bronson, but he doesn't try to be Charles Bronson. and the scenario isn't exactly the same. I mean, his family gets hurt, but it's just all I can say is if it's not in the theater, it's all gone now. But if you happen to see it when you come back, if into Netflix or HBO or whatever the hell, watch it. It's worth your time.
I have a show. Look, if you are a shooter, if you are a pro gun guy or gal, if you do 3-gun competitions, I'm going to tell you who is amazing and 2 great movies to watch.
Oh, okay, great.
2 great movies. Number 1, John Wick. Number 2.
Oh yes, John Wick 1 and John Wick 2. Right.
Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves. If you've ever seen, you could YouTube Keanu Reeves shooting competition, and Keanu Reeves can frickin' shoot.
I thought I knew some things about Keanu Reeves, but I did not know that.
Keanu Reeves can shoot, and I'll tell you,
elevates him even more.
You watch
in my eyes.
You watch his weapons manipulation in the John Wick movies, and specifically John Wick 2. When he at one point he has a malfunction, he flops that thing to the side, strips, and I don't know if it was scripted in, or if he actually had like a failure to extract or what during that filming.
He does a fucking failure drill.
Yeah, he does. He flips over, strips that round, and is back in the fight. Just and his weapons handling manipulation. You can tell he's a Glock shooter because he flicks that mag out. But his weapons manipulation is amazing. So if you think a lot of that shit is Hollywood, and I'm going to tell you a lot of that shit is Hollywood, but if you watch Keanu Reeves and just his weapons manipulation, a lot of that stuff is legit weapons manipulation, and you can pull up Keanu Reeves 3-gun and watch him do that same stuff in a 3-gun competition.
I like both those movies. John Wick 2 was interesting because it had a different take on the first John Wick, and then I'm not gonna shatter people's lives, but
I think they're gonna make a 3.
They are gonna make a 3, but some very significant crap happens at the end of the movie, which is not necessarily real good for John Wick, as you well know. So I think they're going to make John Wick 3. But that's interesting. Now, if I go back and watch John Wick 2, now I'm going to go back and look at it in terms of his weapons handling skills and his manipulation skills, because that's really important stuff.
Yeah. So just watch it through a different lens. So the first time I watched it, I was watching it as kind of like from an entertainment perspective, and I saw him do that, and then I rewatched the entire movie from the other standpoint, and I mean you can tell what's Hollywood, right? But a lot of the stuff he's doing, you're like, yeah, the man knows how to handle a weapon. And so then I went into the YouTube and found some of that. And on break, I'll show you one.
Okay, I'd like to see that, because in retrospect, knowing that, the last time I saw John Wick was actually in the movie.
Okay,
and it's out. You can find it on one of the HBO or whatever the hell. It's still in there. I'm gonna go back and watch that like tomorrow.
Well, look, you brought up you have an interesting article. I know we need to start getting into topics here. We've been going on a little bit long, but hey, it's our first time, just us, right?
Hey, it's just we get to rip this stuff any way we want.
You found an article
that is gonna torque your jaw.
Oh my gosh, and
you have not heard it yet.
I have not. But you were telling me that in this article you are seeing now. Maybe it's a dog whistle, or maybe it's a straight out call for civil war. I don't know. But you were telling me that you believe the left, in particular, the way this article's written, is calling for an all-out civil war right now in this country.
It's by a guy named Peter Layden, and there were a couple of leftists who actually went and embraced this article completely. And I was not aware of the article until some other people on the left were saying, wait, is this guy, it wasn't Elon Musk, but it was, I can't think of to what leftist organization he's connected. But essentially, he was saying, oh, yeah, I believe this article, and I think we need a civil war. I think the left needs a civil war, and we need to kick ass and take names. And then I thought, okay, well, what the hell article is he referring to? Well, I found it. And it's here. It's a semi-lengthy article, but the further on I went into it, the more 210 over 190 I went, and then I thought, oh, do I ever have some answers to this author? And I thought, wow, okay, this might make some really interesting fodder for the first show, because we're talking about being against tyranny, and these people are saying now it's outright advocation. Just as finally, I appreciate honesty and clarity, there is outright advocation finally for gun confiscation on the left. Not everybody on the left is saying it, but more and more people, bit by bit, are advocating for gun confiscation. Now, people on the left are starting to come out of their shells and tell us what they really think. And now there are a couple of people on the left who are saying, this article is the bomb, and this is exactly what we need to do. And essentially what he says is bipartisanship, fuck it. Compromise, fuck it. The gloves are off, and we're going to make you guys bleed by any way we possibly can. I can sum up that article in no other fashion than that. Now, Clint has not read the article.
Correct.
But as I went through, I thought, oh, this is jerking my chain. Oh, this is really jerking my chain. And then I thought, okay, well, if this is fucking me up, and if this is making me kick crankshafts over, I wonder what this is going to be doing for Clint. And so what we're going to do when we come back, because we're at the bottom of the hour break, we might break a little bit early, is we're going to come back after the break, go through the article, and I'm sure as I read this, Clint is going to... Clint, I suspect, will probably...
Lose my mind.
Want to weigh
I may lose my mind.
In some fashion. So we're going to take a break. Thanks, folks, for listening to the very first Sackheads Against Tyranny chat show on the SHR Media Network. Please do not go away anywhere. Wait a minute, that's the wrong one.
What was that? Well, I wanted to be on a beach in Hawaii, sipping a blue fruity drink or something.
Okay, this is the one I really wanted.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplains.talkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny, and we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights.
S-H-A-T.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same SAC time, same SAC channel.
SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So the plan's working. You got rid of Sacco. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw him.
And I know, and insidious. You know, we talked about this for a good for the last 3 years, and finally coming to fruition.
You know, I'm still in the room, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of.
It's amazing. It's kind of
at you.
It's kind of eerie.
Poltergeist.
Like a poltergeisty thing.
Yeah, sackheads against tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And it's jumpy. What a jumpy tonight is to come back to the show, cats and kittens. Welcome to Sackheads Against Tyranny. We're really glad to see you here tonight. And a lot of folks still in chat. Simone's still in chat. Mary, Whiskey Dale, John is still in chat. So thanks to everybody for being here tonight. And of course, Clint, thanks for being in chat, although you're not in chat. During the break,
I'm not in chat. I don't even know what chat is.
No. It's, by the way, we have now officially called it Shat Chat.
Shat Chat.
So when I was promoting the show, I said, listen to us on shrmedia.com because the only official chat room now, we don't monitor the chat room in Facebook and we don't monitor the chat room in YouTube, but we do monitor the chat room at shrmedia.com. So and then I started calling it, be there for Shat Chat. So the folks tonight are in Shat Chat.
Shat Chat.
And I thank them very much for doing so. I was talking about an article that I read earlier, and I'd like to get to it. It's by a dude named Peter Layden. And the headline goes like this, because it links California, the experience of California, and the glowing path that California has illustrated for the left, and the rest of the nation needs to pick up where California is going, is essentially the thrust of the article. The great lesson of California in America's new Civil War. So he mentions new Civil War.
New Civil War.
Right the fuck up front in the headline. So it's not like he's being coy or anything. Why there's the sub-headline is why there's no bipartisan way forward at this juncture in our history. One side must win. You know what, dude? I agree. Absolutely. One side must win.
Must win.
The next time you call for bipartisan cooperation in America and long for Republicans and Democrats to work side by side, stop it. Remember the great lesson of California, the harbinger of America's political future, and realize that today such bipartisan cooperation simply can't get done. In this current period of American politics, at this juncture in our history, there's no way that a bipartisan path provides the way forward. The way forward is on the path California blazed about 15 years ago. In the early 2000s, California faced a similar situation to the one that America faces today. Its state politics were severely polarized. The state government was largely paralyzed. The Republican Party was trapped in the brain-dead orthodoxies of an ideology stuck in the past. The party was controlled by zealous activists and corrupt special interests who refused to face up to the reality of a new century. It was a party that refused to work with the Democrats in good faith or compromise in any way. The solution for the people of California was to reconfigure the political landscape and shift a supermajority of citizens, and by extension their elected officials, under the Democratic Party's big tent. The national continuum of more progressive to more moderate solutions then got worked out within the context of the only remaining functioning party. The California Democrats actually cared about average citizens, embraced the inevitable diversity of 21st century society, weren't afraid of real innovation, and were ready to start solving the many challenges of our time, including climate change. California today provides a model for America as a whole. This model of politics and government is by no means perfect, but it is far ahead of the nation in coming to terms with the inexorable digital, global, sustainable transformation of our era. So you see where this is going already. We haven't even started yet.
I have a couple comments. Number one, a couple interesting things he said. Things, quote, simply can't be done. Quote, can't move forward. Quote, won't work with. So they had to reconfigure the landscape. Folks, you're not supposed to get things done in government quickly in terms of passing new laws and regulations and all that other stuff. It's supposed to be slow. It's supposed to be arduous because the fucking system we have worked. I say worked because here in California it's a one-party system. Now, look, I'm not a pro-party person, but when he said that they had to reconfigure the landscape, essentially what they did is through a series of propositions. And because they couldn't do it in the legislature, through a series.
Yes. Thank you for saying that.
Through a series of propositions, which is following the model of a pure democracy, which we have been warned against ad nauseum by the founders as being, and since we are against tyranny, pure democracy is a major form of tyranny because the rights and interests of the minority are trampled by those of the majority. There is no representation of minority points of view. There's not, and that's why we have a representative republic and not a pure democracy. California, in my opinion, California's political system is not constitutional because there is almost a pure democracy and not a representative republic, which we're supposed to have. However, that being said, it is dangerous and has been harmful to the state. And you just look at the tax rate of the state and the things that are passed. I mean, the gas tax, prime example, and I don't want to get off point here, but there's not supposed to be any new taxes passed unless it's consented by the voters, and they pass a new gas tax in the legislature signed by the governor, basically just gave a big middle finger to the people of California, and the people of California said, oh my God, we love you, because they're a bunch of fucking leftists. Anyways, so what you have is you have major population centers in California that are controlling the entire state. You have the major population center of Los Angeles and the major population center of the San Francisco Bay Area. And those two...
Everybody else can go straight to hell.
Yes. And those two, there's so many representatives based in those two areas that they completely drown out all of the other representation in the state. And another thing they did, and I don't know if that article talks about it yet, so I don't want to get ahead of myself, but another thing this state did is, in order to get a budget done, all they need is a simple majority. The Republicans at least used to be able to have some input on budgetary items. But through the proposition process a few years ago, the California voters, because once again they couldn't get it through the legislature, the California voters in their infinite wisdom, because it was sold to them as we need to be able to break through gridlock, means that as any simple majority, which the Democrats will automatically always have because of the way the system is set up, they will be able to pass whatever budget they desire. and there is not a damn thing the Republicans can do about it. The Republicans in the California state legislature are figureheads at best. And here's the scary part. There are those that actually view them as a threat. How the fuck are they a threat? They literally can't do anything.
Well, here's the other part of that. When you have a supermajority, and it's clear that the Democrats have a supermajority in California, I don't suspect, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Clint, I can see somebody somewhere in the not too terribly distant future saying, well, you know what, we own everything. And the Republicans are completely toothless. They don't have any teeth whatsoever. They gum, just feed them pablum and get them the hell out of here. And then, wait a minute, if they're never coming back, why do we even fucking need elections? Why would we need an election? Because we already know what the outcome is going to be. Let's save a couple of bucks. Let's save the trauma of having to go into a booth and vote in absentia, or push a Chad, or pull a slot or something like that. Let's just let things roll as they are right now. Oh, and we'll change the California Constitution to reflect that as well, because we will be the supermajority in perpetuity, which is the goal in the first place. And then once they have absolute control, hey, it's time to press 1 for absolute tyranny.
Yeah.
Would that not be a logical goal for the people that are here? So
yes.
When this guy is saying, Layden, that California is a great role model, and we haven't even touched the rest of this article, yeah, that's exactly what Clint is saying. And the other thing is, too, well, we need to speed the process along by having the propositions, unless the Democrats and the people in charge decide that they don't like those propositions, which were passed by people. They take them to court, and Proposition 187, for example, which was passed by the will of the people, got excommunicated by a leftist court. By the way, Prop 187, folks, do you remember that? Anyway, it got killed because of the Democrats. Didn't like that at all. So to continue in the article, California is a thriving work in progress that gives hope that America can pull out of the political mess we're in. So the thing is, I'd like to mention, if it's only a political mess if they're not winning.
Yes. Yes.
Which he doesn't mention, but it's a political mess.
Right. And here's the thing. Simply can't get things done. What is it you're trying to get done that you can't get done?
Oh, he's going to tell you.
Oh, I know. Can't move forward.
Yeah.
Move forward from whose perspective? Because I'll tell you, in California, I want to move backward. I want to move backwards like a lot.
Fundamentally transforming America.
Yes.
Gosh, who said that?
Who said that? Okay, I'm sorry. We digress. Go ahead, BZ.
I can't.
I think it rhymes with Schmobama.
Anyway, pull out of the political mess that we're in. California Today provides a playbook for America's new way forward. It's worth contemplating as we enter 2018, which will be a critical election year. Yeah, granted. Yes. Now here's another subheader. Understanding the context of the new American Civil War. This is no ordinary political movement. Trump is not the reason this is no ordinary time. He's simply the most obvious symptom that reminds us all of this each day. The best way to understand politics in America today is to reframe it as closer to civil war. Just the phrase civil war is harsh, and many people may cringe. It brings up images of guns and death, the bodies of Union and Confederate soldiers. America today is nowhere near that level of conflict or at risk of such violence. However. That's
like a honey, I love you. However.
Yeah. Your ass is still too big.
Yeah. Which is going to lead to a, you don't love me. Honey, I was not speaking to you. That was BZ's words.
Yeah. Oh, BZ is going to be in trouble when his bat gets home.
Yes.
Yes. America today is nowhere near that level of conflict or at risk of such violence. However, America today does exhibit some of the core elements that move a society from what normally is the process of working out political differences toward the slippery slope of civil war. We've seen it in many societies in many previous historical eras, including what happened in the United States in 1860. Two systems at odds.
Oh, wait a second. Was that a leftist just admitting that the Civil War was caused by two systems moving at odds and not caused by slavery specifically? This motherfucker got one thing right.
Not one mention in that, as you heard. Not one.
Hang on a second.
Isn't that kind of politically incorrect to not
it is
mention that?
But here's the thing.
But
it is
a bit of honesty slipped through.
Yes.
Inadvertently, it slipped through.
Yes. And look, I know I'm kind of making a big deal of it, but that's important. That is important. And the reason
it slips through sometimes.
The reason that is so important is this. We do not have slavery in America. As much as the left or those on the left or Black Lives Matter or any of those other groups would want you to believe that, we do not have slavery in America. We don't have groups of people who are owned by other people and viewed as property, unless you're talking about prostitution or something like that, illegal prostitution. But we don't have that. It's illegal. We don't have that in America. We don't tolerate that here in America. There may be some groups that engage in that, but we actively try and go after them as a society and as a country if you're talking about human trafficking and those sorts of things. So the fact that this guy, and slavery would be a major issue to fight, and it's something that kind of gets everybody's juices flowing, right? But this guy is admitting that a civil war was fought in this country because there were two polar opposite ideologies working. One was supremacy of the federal government. The other is supremacy of the state. Correct?
That's if there was a bottom line of what that was about. Although people can say, well, you're missing the point. The point was it was about slavery.
No, that was a catalyst.
No, there's an overarching issue to that.
Correct.
And that's the point that you're referencing now.
Yes, that's exactly the point I'm referencing now, is that, yes, slavery was an issue, right? Slavery was a catalyst issue. It was a major issue that led to those disagreements. But here's the deal. If the South said, okay, yeah, the federal government is supreme, then we'll go ahead and instill systems in place to dismantle slavery and some of these other things, then you would not have any civil war because that issue would be resolved, correct?
Yes.
Just like if the North had said, hey, you know what, yes, states' rights is a superior issue when it comes to this in commerce and trade, and yes, we can't regulate this. We may not agree with it. We don't have to allow it into any more expansion or states or whatnot. However, okay, yes, the states are supreme. Again, there would be no civil war that would be fought, right? There would be no Fort Sumter. But that's not what happened. Both sides dug in. Both sides thought that they were correct. And as a result, slavery that issue was resolved as a result of the Civil War. But the major issue that was resolved, at least for that time period, was the supremacy of the federal government.
That's exactly it. And he makes reference to this in the article, and you are cool insofar as you picked up on that, but you make mention of what I consider to be the biggest issue of that is, yeah, that's exactly what it was. It's a reference to the times when there were two ideologies fucking clashing to the point where, I don't know, a couple of 100,000 Americans died on the battlefields of the United States of America. 58,000 Americans died in one day in a battle in Antietam.
Yes.
That's all the people that were killed in Vietnam.
Yes.
And we lost that many Americans in a civil war in one day. So the article continues. Two systems at odds. America's original Civil War was not just fought to emancipate slaves for humanitarian reasons. Bingo, bada bing, bada boom. Honesty and clarity. This guy, Peter Layden, is finally coming out and saying, I'll tell you what, if for no other reason I appreciate this guy's honesty, is a little bit of a breath of fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
America's original Civil War was not fought to emancipate slaves for humanitarian reasons. The conflict was really about the clash between two very different economic systems that were fundamentally at odds and ultimately could not coexist. The Confederacy was based on an agrarian economy dependent on slaves. The Union was based on a new kind of capitalist manufacturing economy dependent on free labor. They tried to somehow coexist from the time of the founding era, but by the middle of the 19th century, something had to give. One side or the other had to win. America today faces a similar juncture around fundamentally incompatible energy systems. The red states, held by the Republicans, are deeply entrenched in carbon-based energy systems like coal and oil. Stop just for a minute. They're going back to climate change.
Yes, they are.
So this is, again, I call these fucktards the religious left. Because you have to fundamentally believe, you have to have faith. You must have, just like you must have faith in God, and the leftists would excoriate you for having that faith. Mm-hmm. There must be a requisite faith. It's demanded now by leftists that you believe in the almighty God, little g, of climate change, which now has been corrupted to the point where any change in any weather whatsoever, whether it be hot or cold, that's climate change.
Yes.
How convenient.
Well, it can't be that it can't be that the Earth does not have a perfect rotation, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have a perfect orbit around the sun.
Yeah.
It can't be that the sun is redshifted from the rest of the Milky Way and we're actually breaking away, or the cosmos is moving. I mean,
that we have cycles.
Or that we have cycles. Or,
you know, because we documented weather so efficiently in the 1800s, in the 1700s,
Yes.
in the 1600s. So we have a lot of documentation.
Yeah, we do. Look,
to go upon.
Yes, we do. We have journals that say hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have journals that say cold.
Boy, it was hot today.
Didn't rain today. So you're saying that this individual is calling for a civil war over energy, or he believes energy?
Isn't it funny how that was basically his predicating event? That was the first thing that went through his brain.
Energy? Really?
Yeah, that's the very first thing. And again, this is an illustrative of why I wanted to bring the article to you today, Clint, and to everybody here, so that you can see the patterns of thought in somebody that writes an article like this. They consequently deny, they, meaning the conservatives, Republicans, they consequently deny the science of climate change.
Hang on a second. I wonder if he denies the science of genetics. I wonder if he denies the science of biology. Does he deny the science of gender?
Oh, my goodness. You may have tapped into that. All I can say is, since you brought that up.
Science. He brought up science, right?
Yeah.
So if the right denies the science of climate change, then how is it that you, and I'm guessing he does this, denies the science of gender? You take somebody's blood, you take somebody's DNA, and we have that capability now.
Certainly.
And it's going to tell you what gender they are. So if you say that the right can't deny the science of climate change without reference to a civil war, how do you oppose those in your own party or with your own ideology that deny the science of gender? Unless you're admitting that the science of climate change is bullshit, just like the science of gender, in your opinion, would be bullshit, in which case your whole argument about climate change and science goes by the wayside anyways, in which case the right would be right about that also.
Yeah.
It's kind of a slippery slope to be making that science claim, don't you think?
Whiskey Dale in chat already said John Coleman. For those who may not know, John Coleman was the guy who created the Weather Channel. And he's also a guy that is incredible. He's a scientist, and I believe he has a doctorate. And the Weather Channel has subsequently been sold. I don't remember to whom. But basically, he was saying a lot of the climate Scientology and the reference, the statistics, are predicated upon bullshit, unmitigated bullshit, that the statistics are screwed, the scientific method is not used properly in these, and so I still say again,
and that's probably the same with gender identification also. I'm guessing the science is probably screwed on that.
Yeah, but you listen to a leftist, and as far as they're concerned, the science is done, the discussion is over, move on.
That's the fucking argument with gender identity.
That's exactly it.
So let me ask you this. Can law enforcement, if there is DNA evidence at a crime scene, can they build a suspect profile based on that DNA
where you're going
utilizing gender? I would argue in the state of California that should be illegal. Because what if the suspect doesn't feel like a man or woman?
Yeah.
What if the suspect is actually transgender? Clearly my client didn't commit this homicide because this DNA that the police put together said that it was a man.
Well, my client's not a man.
Clearly my client is not a man. My client is transgendered, which is a gender recognized by the state of California. And since the state of California said that the person who committed this crime is a male, and my client is not in fact a male under the law, you have to find him guilty because this evidence is clearly tainted.
All the leftists, oh my God, you just provided a perfect argument to all the all the Sacramento County public defenders who are watching this show, or your ambulance chaser, if he's watching the show tonight, probably is going right now, where's my pen? I need to be writing this shit down. Let's see, at just about 9 o'clock, that's when Sackhead's Clint mentioned, oh damn, this is gonna be a great damn defense. And I do see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
Oh boy. It's, you may find that this segment now has been clipped out of YouTube or Facebook and will be used in a PowerPoint of public defenders. And here's a new argument that we can make with regard to our various clients.
Look, show me or tell me, and I know we're talking about this article, but where, based upon the ridiculous arguments made in, and I know we're talking about climate change science here, but the science argument, you can't use a science argument for one issue and not for another issue, right? Science is science. It either proves or it disproves, or it's inconclusive. So if gender testing through DNA is inconclusive, then that's one thing. We all know that's not the case. If science for climate change based on fact is legitimate, then it's legitimate science, right? If it's not, then it's not. So how can the left have it both ways? And where is my gender argument wrong from a legal standpoint if the state or the government recognizes multiple genders, but the DNA only recognizes what? Male, female, and then in some cases there's hermaphrodites? Is that correct?
Officially, I'm not sure what that is. Now, the question to you, and you may know, I do not. Has California gotten to the point where they recognize more than two genders?
Yes.
Officially.
Yes. There's that bill. I don't know if it passed. I'd have to look. Where on your driver's license you can be a fair to state or a non-binary.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? In terms of the humor factor, yeah, this was funny to listen to, and you had an exquisite idea. The sad thing is, legally, in terms of California, you may have just made an argument whose focus, whose genesis was right here in the Sackheads studio, folks. Just because of that, you can't go away anywhere. Come right back. We're going to be back after the break. Don't go away.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com. and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capitol, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplanestalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny, and we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights.
S-H-A-T.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday nights, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same SAC time, same SAC channel.
Yep. shrmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So the plan's working. You got rid of Sacco. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw him.
And I know, and insidious. You know, we talked about this for, for the last 3 years, and finally coming to fruition.
You know I'm still in the room, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of...
It's amazing. It's kind of
at you.
It's kind of eerie.
Kind of a poltergeist.
Like a poltergeisty thing.
Yeah, Sackheads Against Tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It's the second hour of Sackheads Against Tyranny. Whereas before you heard the Sackheads radio show, now it's Sackheads Clint, it's Sackheads BZ, and we truly are
Against Tyranny.
Against Tyranny. Now, I was reading an article by a guy named Peter Layden, The Great Lesson of California and America's New Civil War. And Clint had just brought up a very interesting aspect that could potentially be used by public defenders all across the fruited plain in California. And you made another discovery in the state.
You can't say that. You can't say California, it's a fruited plain, like there's fruits everywhere in this state.
True.
That's not, I don't know, you can't.
Fruits and nuts. Hey, that was a common statement about 10, 15, 20 years ago. So.
Yeah, that's true.
So what did you find? You were busy during the break.
So California officially recognizes 3, count them, 3 genders: male, female, and non-binary. That means that a suspect, if I was a defense attorney, which I'm not, but if I was, I would say, my client, you say a male committed this act. The state of California, the jurisdiction under which you are trying my client, recognizes that my client is not a male. So clearly my client did not commit this. My client is non-binary. And look, here's the state documentation to prove it. Or better yet, what if there's a...
Here's the license.
Right. What if there's a surgical procedure done? My client is female. Here's the driver's license to prove it.
Yeah, here's the day of the surgery.
Yep. No, I wouldn't even put that. I would just say my client's a female. I don't have to prove. Burden of proof's on the state.
Right-wing aviator in chat quotes C.S. Lewis by saying, progress means getting nearer to the place you want to be, and if you've taken a wrong turn, then to go forward does not get you any nearer. If you're on the wrong road, progress means doing an about turn and walking back to the right road. And so now we're going to go back to the article. And the Republicans and conservatives in the state of California consequently deny the science of climate change, are trying to resuscitate the dying coal industry, and recently have begun to open up coastal waters to oil drilling. The blue states, held by the Democrats, are increasingly shifting to clean energy, like solar, and installing policies that wean the energy system off carbon. In the era of climate change, with the mounting pressure of increased natural disasters, something's got to give. We can't have one step forward, one step back every time an administration changes. One side or the other has to win. Now, 2 classes at odds. Another driver on the road to civil war is when 2 classes become fundamentally at odds. This usually takes some form of rich versus poor, the wealthy and the people, the 1% and the 99%. The system gets so skewed towards those at the top that the majority at the bottom rises up and power shifts. Stop. What is California one of the best illustrators of these days? The massive gap between the rich and the poor. We have the greatest number of homeless in the nation in the state of California, and the greatest number of illegals, which are supposed to bring riches and abundance of diversity. And California right now, it has already come out. California is number 50 of the entire United States of America in quality of life, with the greatest number of homeless and the greatest number of people of the middle class fleeing this fucking state.
Yep.
So, 2 classes at odds?
Must be a great state.
Yeah, sure.
Must be a great state, right?
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is
rich versus poor.
We've talked about this here at SHR before. We've talked about it at Sackheads, and we've been talking about it for a while now. That look, it used to be way back when that our country was moving in one direction. Whether you were a Federalist or a Whig or what, there was a direction that you wanted to push the country, and we may have disagreed on how to get there, but the direction was there, right? We want to go to a representative republic. There are certain things we want. How do we get here? Do we have a stronger federal government and not a strong federal government? But either way, the power rests with the people. We've gone so far away from that now because the parties now no longer agree on the end game for our country.
No, that's completely skewed.
At the founding of our country, I would even say through the 50s, maybe into the 60s. Even maybe up to Ronald Reagan's time, where we knew we wanted to defeat communism. The country we knew where we were going. We as a nation, I mean, there are always different ideas, right? But for the most part, we as a nation knew we wanted to get here. We wanted to continue to move forward here. We want to bring freedom through the world, fight communism. Marxism was bad. Tyranny was bad. Fascism was bad. Anything that was big, total government was bad. Were there communists? Yeah. Were there fascists? Yeah. but it wasn't a driving ideology of a major movement like it is today. And I'm talking about specifically communism and Marxism. And you look at the hardcore left in this country and how that's growing and how those ideals are taking hold and growing within certain groups. And it's easy for them to point the finger and say fascists. Understand what a fascist is before you start pointing that picture. Adolf Hitler was a fascist. It was big government. It was still big government. Government control, government oppression. It was just the other side of big government. Communism is big government. It's government control of everything. It's just a different way to do it. You look at the continuum. We've talked about this before. You look at the continuum on from liberty and tyranny, or true right and left, smaller government and large government. That's true right and left. But fascism and communism is up and down. That's an up-down argument on the far left big government side. It's just we've allowed them to frame it in terms of fascism is right. No, it's not. It's only right when you stand the left-right continuum on its head and it's stuck here at big government. Now you're arguing left-right. Communism, fascism. Anyways, I got on my soapbox here. But the bottom line is this. Now in this country, we have we are going two polar opposite directions.
I completely agree.
It's not fascism and communism. It is literally we are going Marxism or constitutional republicanism. Republicanism, not the party, but republicanism, the form of government. And you cannot... I almost agree with it. I don't agree that we should call for a civil war, but I almost agree that, look, I can see, and I hope this doesn't come to fruition, but I can see how somebody can write an article about how civil war may be coming. Because logically speaking, you can't have a nation, two individuals, a husband and wife, whatever it is, going two polar opposite directions without...
And expect anything to function.
So there has to be, in the case of a marriage, some redirection, some commonality to come together. And if this guy is saying that, no, we can no longer come together and try and find a common, maybe we go to this destination, I can see how an article like this can be written.
We have some of the smartest folks ever in chat,
this room,
in chat right now, because they made this particular statement. Let's see. All for the green when it complete unsubscribed in the open market. And then Whiskey Dale said something very interesting. Whiskey Dale wrote, "Damn baby boomers screwed everything up." Right-wing Aviator said, "Yep, very true." And then Whiskey Dale said, "We went from the greatest generation to snowflakes in 2 generations, which means the baby boomers' kids." Stop right there. And we're going to be the whole thing for the rest of this article. But there was an agent when I was working for the FBI, and I am the baby boomer generation. And he said, "I'm having a hell of a time trying to raise my kids in a good fashion. And I just want to let you guys know that it was you guys who raised me and my generation who are screwing up everything right now." And so when he's talking about the greatest generation, yeah, the greatest generation were great. My dad lived through the Depression, and I'm not normal. Most of the baby boomers bank left, and they raised their kids in that fashion as well. And how did we get here today? I submit we got here primarily because of the baby boomers. My brother is an excellent example. He's a baby boomer, one of the earlier baby boomers, but his kids were raised such that they all stayed at home. They had their tuition paid by my brother, not the parents, but my brother, who is very wealthy, paid their tuition. And my nephew got his, took his BA in, like philosophy or something like that. So what was his first job? Barista. And he's still paying off his student loan. So, yeah, dudes, you made an excellent point in chat. 2 classes at odds. Another driver on the road to civil war, the system gets so skewed towards those at the top that the majority at the bottom rises up and power shifts. Funny thing is, this guy is saying that this is bad. That's exactly what the fuck California is right now. And he's using California as an example of a shining pillar. No, just by illustration alone, he proves it isn't. The last time America was in that position was in the 1930s during the Great Depression. We were on the road of severe class conflict that could have continued towards civil war, but we worked out a power shift that prevented widespread violence. Franklin Roosevelt, the so-called traitor to his class, helped establish a supermajority New Deal coalition of Democrats that rolled all the way through the post-war boom. The conservative Republicans, who had championed a politics that advantaged the rich throughout the 1920s and promoted isolationism in the 1930s, were sidelined for 2 generations, close to 50 years. Today's conservative Republicans...
Hang on. And it worked out so well that as soon as his ass was out of office, Congress amended the Constitution from ever fucking preventing a president from serving more than 2 terms.
Yeah, you're never going to have a 3rd-term president ever again. That must have been a clue. Today's conservative Republicans face the same risk. Since 1980... Hey, Clint, 1980. You mentioned that year, didn't you? Funny
Yes,
how
I
that
did.
works out. Since 1980, their policies have engorged the rich, while flatlining the incomes of the majority of Americans from the presidency of Ronald Reagan through to last December's tax overhaul, which ultimately bestows 83% of the benefits over time to the top 1%. Make no mistake, a reckoning with not just Trump, but conservatism is coming. 2 cultures at odds.
Can I address something here for a second?
Sure.
This article champions Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Yep.
And the New Deal. The New Deal prolonged the Depression. The New Deal prolonged the Depression. There's research that proves that. As a matter of fact, 2, and you'll never guess where they're from, 2 economists actually proved that Franklin Delano Roosevelt's policies prolonged the Great Depression by 7 years. And they came from UCLA.
Well, wait, couldn't you say that of 2008? Someone had the phrase, too large to fail. And as I said a long time ago, too large to fail, let them fucking fail.
Yes.
And we will recover at a greater speed than if we'd propped everybody up just like we did.
But think of the implications of that. 2 UCLA economists
even saw that.
Proved that the Depression was extended by 7 years.
Yep.
UCLA, not the bastion of conservatism
No,
at all.
Not at all.
Not even a little bit.
No. Folks, by the way, if you haven't read Thomas Sowell, Basic Economics, you should. And you also should read and or listen to on YouTube Milton Friedman.
And you should also read Wealth of Nations.
Very good. Hey, we're going to talk about another book when we come back next week.
Yes, we are.
I'm going to bring in. That's going to be very interesting.
And it ties into this.
2 cultures at odds. The differences between 2 economic systems or 2 classes that are fundamentally at odds could conceivably get worked out through a political process that peacefully resolves differences. However, culture frequently gets in the way. That's especially true when pressures are building for big system overhauls that will create new winners and losers. 2 different political cultures already at odds through different political ideologies, philosophies, and worldviews can get trapped in a polarizing process that increasingly undermines compromise. They see the world through different lenses, consume different media, and literally live in different places. Absolutely correct.
And another thing he mentioned, and I know, BZ, you're trying to get through this, but he mentioned political philosophy and science.
Yep.
And here's what's interesting about that. And he's making a point, I think, without realizing he's making a point. And I think his focus is incorrect, and I think he needs to go a little bit deeper. But I think that a lot of this is that we have gone away from political philosophy and moved into political science. They don't teach political philosophy anymore. They don't teach the philosophy of politics, which is principle-based and principle-driven. A lot of what's taught now is politics as a science. It's not a philosophy of your ideals or what you stand for or what your principles are, and that's should be the foundational point for discussion, which it used to be, right? the principles of liberty, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness.
You cannot even discuss that. You cannot even bring up the possibility of the existence of an opposite viewpoint in a classroom.
So that is a philosophy, right? We can talk about the various philosophies of politics where we have core belief systems that now we're building upon to gain understanding. Now it's a study of political science. How do we maneuver through a system not based on principle, but that's just based on power, or that's based on maintaining power, or that's based on accomplishing X goal rather than the entire overriding big picture? It's the science of compromise, the science of getting your bill passed or whatever it is, rather than a driving philosophy that should be the core of all legislation that's being passed.
It's an interesting philosophy, and I think you'll see as this guy goes, he's making an argument that we could make, only all he's doing is he's slapping another label on it. In chat, Right Wing Aviator says, well, Whiskey Dale says California is a cesspool, i.e. San Francisco. Duh, facts and evidence.
Yep.
And Right Wing Aviator says, service created the greatest generation. Perhaps it can repair the snowflake generation. Mandatory service, military or otherwise. Right Wing Aviator says it's called creative destruction. And Whiskey Dale says, get down in the weeds, fellas. That's what I'm here for. And he says, by the way, go Cubs.
Oakland Athletics.
Two different political cultures already at odds through different political ideologies, philosophies, and worldviews can get trapped in a polarizing process that increasingly undermines compromise. They see the world through different lenses, consume different media, literally live in different places. They start to misunderstand the other side, then start to misrepresent them, and eventually make them the enemy. The opportunity for compromise is then lost. This is where America is today. I can't say I fundamentally disagree with that.
I don't. I actually agree with that wholeheartedly.
So,
and both sides do it.
Yep. At some point, one side or the other must win, and win big. The side resisting change, usually the one most rooted in the past systems and incumbent interests, must be thoroughly defeated. And he's pointing his fingers at us. Not just for a political cycle or two, but for a generation or two. That gives the winning party or movement the time and space needed to really build up the next system without always fighting rearguard actions and getting drawn backwards, meaning we need to be smashed utterly.
Building the next system.
Yep.
He talks about it right there. What that man is calling for
Cloward Piven.
Yes. He is calling for the destruction of the current system of government.
Cloward Piven.
And he is clamoring for the erection of a large gentleman, of another system in its place. I'm guessing it would look something like the Soviet Union.
Right. You know,
so
hey, maybe Mussolini really did have some good ideas. Come on, give the dude a break.
No, that's a fascist, right? So why this should be a major red flag for Americans. This should be a red flag for Blue Dog Democrats, for Democrats. And look, I have some friends who claim to be Democrat, but they're pro-2A. They are not big government. They are certainly not communists. They love this country deeply. We disagree on some things, sure, but they genuinely have a love for this country. And you know, the guy that I give a hard time to, our ambulance chasing hack attorney friend, is one of those. But I think that those are the people in the party that they don't want a new system put into place. They don't want the American government torn down. They don't want our constitution trashed. They may have a different idea of what it means. And I may fundamentally disagree with that on certain things, but they don't want a new system erected. They still believe that this country is great. And so when the left puts out articles like that, and those passages are in there, that should be getting some of their attention. And I think this is where the left is going to have a really hard time. And this is why in California, Cox is number 2. A Republican, 5 points behind the Democrat leader.
you talked about that. You talked about Blue Dog Democrats, and it just tickled my brain housing group that in a series of. I have a whole bunch of quotes here that I brought about liberty and about tyranny. And here's one from Zell Miller. He was a Blue Dog Democrat. He just recently passed away. I think either earlier this year or late last year. But he was a registered Democrat, and he said, "I can remember when Democrats believed that it was the duty of America to fight for freedom over tyranny."
Yes. Yes, and this is what I'm talking about, right?
That's a hell of a quote.
That's when we were moving towards the same direction still, and I brought up even up to Reagan's time, right? The 80s. Yep. That's exactly right. Sorry to interrupt. We digress.
True. The losing party or movement will need that amount of time to go through a fundamental rethink, a long-term renewal that eventually will enable them to play a new game. Today's American Civil War. Trump is doing exactly what America needs him to do right now. He's becoming increasingly conservative and outrageous by the day. Would you say he's conservative?
No.
I wouldn't.
No. I would say he's...
outrageous? Outrageous to the hacks. Yes.
I would say he's conservative in some things.
But he's certainly not consistent in that.
He's not. No, he's not. He's a populist. Donald Trump is not a conservative. Donald Trump certainly is not a liberal. Donald Trump is a populist.
Yeah, but if this guy says it, then as far as he's concerned, it's true.
Oh, of course.
It's a statement, and he will brook no dissent for that.
It's a statement to gain a reaction from his base.
Yep. Trump could have come into office with a genuinely new agenda that could have helped working people.
He has.
Right. And see, that again, but these fuckers can't help but throw in lies. Instead, he spent the past year becoming a caricature of all things conservative, and in the meantime has alienated most of America and certainly all the growing political constituencies of the 21st century. He is turning the Republican brand toxic for millennials, women, Latinos, people of color, college-educated people, urban centers, the tech industry, and the economic powerhouses of the coasts, to name a few.
Educated people.
Right, because
only the uneducated like him.
Right, because, us goobers, we just don't know shit. And it's the smart, arrogant people that they know so much more than us, and we need to listen to them and do exactly what the fuck they say.
Because they know what's best.
Right, they know what's best for us. We need to realize that immediately. The Republican Party is playing their part perfectly, too. They completely fell for the Trump trap, and that's exactly what America needed them to do. There is no such thing, apparently, as a never-Trumper in the Republican Party as far as this guy's concerned. The Republican Party could have maintained some distance from Trump and kept a healthy check on him through Congress.
Well, maybe that's right.
Paul Ryan didn't do that.
No,
he bought into everything that Trump said.
100%.
Right?
Yeah,
you
so
bet.
So did John McCain and Lindsey Graham and John Kasich.
Yeah, they were Trumpers all the way.
All Republicans were all Trumpers all the way.
Yeah. Instead, they fully embraced him in a group bear hug that culminated in a deeply flawed tax law in the waning days of 2017. So stop. This guy is doing exactly what he's saying and excoriating conservatives for doing. He's giving one way, and he will brook no dissent. And as far as he's concerned, these are facts.
Yes.
And you cannot push back against any of this stuff at all.
Well, you can, but you're ignorant.
Yeah, you're a stupid buffoon if you believe that Trump is doing anything for the United States of America. Mm-hmm. And with that, we're going to take a break. It's the bottom of the hour break. We have one more segment left. I swear to God, I think we're going to try to get through this article.
I'm just going to stop interrupting you.
No. Listen, this article needs to be heard, and it needs to be commented upon, because this is the way these fucktards think. Folks, you're listening to Sackheads Against Tyranny right here on the SHR Media Network. Don't go anywhere.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capitol, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny, and we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights.
S-H-A-T.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same SAC time, same SAC channel.
SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So the plan's working. You got rid of Sacco. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw him.
And I know, and insidious. You know, we talked about this for for the last 3 years, and finally coming to fruition.
You know I'm still in the room, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of.
It's amazing. It's kind of
at you.
It's kind of eerie.
Poltergeist.
Like a poltergeisty thing.
Yeah, Sackheads Against Tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Folks, this is it. This is the final segment of Sackheads Against Tyranny. We hope you've enjoyed the show. The material has been a little dense, we'll admit, but hey, we're going to get through this particular article. Clint just poured lots of money into private attorneys' pockets at the top of the 9 o'clock hour, and you're going to have to go back to that hour and listen to what it is that Clint said. Jesus. We're going to continue.
I do that. Wasn't there some trucking industry that was going to put a hit out on Sean or something one time because of something I said?
We're going over the article by Peter Layden, The Great Lesson of California and America's New Civil War, because the left are promoting basically a civil war. This mess of a law thrown together without traditional vetting is riddled with outrageous loopholes that benefit the crony donor class and line the pockets of many of the politicians who passed it. The law is hugely unpopular, and everyone who voted for it is marked for the election of 2018. Perfect. And now the entire Republican Party and the entire conservative movement that has controlled it for the past 4 decades is fully positioned for the final takedown that will cast them out for a long period of time in the political wilderness. They deserve it. Let's just say what needs to be said. The Republican Party over the past 40 years has maneuvered itself into a position where they are the bad guys on the wrong side of history. And he's come out and said it. Okay. Honesty and clarity. I value it. For a long time, they've been able to hide this fact through a sophisticated series of veils invoking cultural voodoo that fools a large number of Americans to stay in the game. In other words, if you voted for a Trump, you're a schlump. Simple as that. However, Donald Trump has laid waste to that sophistication and has given America and the world the raw version of what current conservative politics is all about. The Republican Party is all about rule by and for billionaires at the expense of working people. Bullshit. Bullshit. Alert. Hello. Bullshit. Alert. Just thought I'd tell you. Trump is literally the incarnation of what the party stands for, shaping laws for the good of billionaires and the 1%. His cabinet is stuffed with them. The Republican Party is the party of climate change denial. Trump is the denier-in-chief. But there are 180 climate science deniers in the current Congress, 142 in the House and 38 in the Senate, and none of them are Democrats. More than 59% of Republicans in the House and 73% of Republicans in the Senate deny the, and this is a fact, because he says it, it must be a fact, the scientific consensus that climate change is happening, that human activity is the main cause. That's called anthropogenic. By the way, for those who are curious, anthropogenic climate change, that humanity is the main cause and that it is a serious threat. Another way to say it is that the Republican Party is in the pocket of the oil and carbon energy industry. Trump just cut through the crap and named Exxon CEO as our Secretary of State to unravel the United Nations climate accords. No beating around the bush for that sake of appearance. Trump burned the bush down. The Republican Party for the past 40 years has mastered using dog whistles to gin up racial divide. Let me read this again, because when I read this, I went, what the fuck?
Yeah.
The Republican Party for the past 40 years has mastered using dog whistles to gin up racial divides, to get their white voters, to the polls.
Did Diamond and Silk know that?
Who's striating whom here? Who's creating identity politics here?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be the Republicans. It seems to be the Democrats. Trump just disposes of niceties and flatly encourages white nationalists, bans Muslims, walls off Mexicans, and calls out shithole countries.
So hang on, let's go back. What was the first thing you said he does?
Trump disposes of niceties and flatly encourages white nationalists.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
No, he does not.
No, he doesn't. Bans Muslims.
Nope, he didn't.
No, he didn't. He banned countries and territories
where people known to be terrorists wanted to come from. And how many other Muslim nations?
If he wanted to ban just Muslims, he would have said no one from Indonesia. Indonesia is the greatest repository. It holds almost 3/4 of all the Muslims on the planet in Indonesia. Not one area in Indonesia was named. It was the fucking Middle East. So blow me, dude. You're not dealing, these guys, again, are not dealing with facts. Walls off Mexicans. Okay. All right. And if California wants to have the lifeblood sucked out of them, it's Mexicans primarily that are coming through, but not all Mexicans.
No, he's not rounding them up in the streets.
No.
He's saying, you just can't come across willy-nilly.
And we have sovereignty. And we have borders.
What would happen
Mexico has some of the most onerous restrictions in terms of immigration, much more so.
I was just going to ask you, what would happen if BZ and Clint took a trip and crossed into Mexico from the United States illegally? What would happen to us?
And further, what if BZ and Clint decided we were going to go to Mexico and we want some of your welfare, Mexico?
Yeah.
We want some free
We
shit.
want land.
Yeah.
And we want jobs.
Yeah. Oh, and we want to be able to go to your institutions of learning,
Yep.
and we don't want to pay any money, and we need medical. So, Clint, I think we need free medical from Mexico.
Correct.
Since we kind of like it down there. Oh, Cancun, by the way, had 36 murders in the past 24 hours. You want to live in Mexico?
I don't even want to visit Mexico.
Fine. Yeah. I visited it once, and that was
but
enough
what
for
would
me.
I've been there a couple times. What would they say though if we crossed the border illegally and wanted to stay? They'd
Gring-
throw our asses in prison.
Gringo, if you're doing more than just visiting, leave your money and go the fuck home.
Yeah, no, they would imprison us.
Oh, yes. Yes. And he calls out shithole countries. That's funny. The countries that he called as shitholes are
shitholes.
Shitholes. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Trump is just making clear to all what the boiling under the surface for decades was. And that's exactly what we need him to do. Why? Because America finally needs to take the Republican Party down for a generation or two. Not just the presidency. Not just clear out the U.S. House. Not just tip back the Senate, but fundamentally beat the Republicans on all levels at once, including clearing out governorships and state houses across the land.
Is he talking about that literally or figuratively? Because that sounds like a threat.
Literally. He means literally.
That sounds like a threat to me, because this article is talking about civil war.
He's talking about a civil war, and he makes no bones about it.
And he's talking about taking them out, and I'm getting the idea that he doesn't mean politically. I'm getting the idea that he means literally.
Yes, get them out. He said not just clear out the U.S. House, not just tip back the Senate, but fundamentally beat the Republicans on all levels at once, including clearing out governorships and state houses across the land.
Is he calling for violence?
Keep going. Let's see where he's going with this. The dramatic collapse of Republicans in California. Now he's getting down to a little bit more specific stuff. Could such a collapse of the Republican Party really happen? Won't it take decades of trench warfare to put the GOP on the run? Not at all. A political collapse could happen very fast, as it did in California, as you have already pointed out, Clint. California was a model of governmental dysfunction in the 1990 to 2005 period, with Democrats and Republicans at each other's throats and little being accomplished. However, sometimes stalemates are good, especially in politics. The political atmosphere became so toxic that Democratic Governor Gray Davis was recalled in 2003 and replaced with populist Republican Arnold Schwarzenegger, who then proceeded to up the ante on polarization by pushing a series of conservative ballot initiatives in a special election in 2005. They were all handily defeated by the voters, marking the zenith of conservative Republican attempts to control California. And that is true. Arnold Schwarzenegger got his ass handed to him, and then his chief of staff became some chick whose name I can't forget, but she was a leftist of the first order. He got his ass handed to him, and he got into line. He stepped into line quickly. Mm-hmm. After that point, it was all downhill for the conservative GOP agenda in California. Schwarzenegger understood the sea change early and dumped right-wing populism and became far more moderate, going along with many progressive priorities. He soon started working with Democrats in the legislature on infrastructure, culminating in the passage of Proposition 1B in 2006, $20 billion for roads and public transportation. Also,
wait a second. California just instituted a gas tax illegally that was supposed to be for that.
Yes.
Weird. Okay, sorry,
yes.
Go ahead.
No,
I digress.
No, we've already paid for that. 1B was supposed to solve all of those problems with regard to infrastructure, and it didn't. And then, just as you point out, this tax, gas and registration, vehicle registration, by the way, folks, if you haven't understood, has just increased per vehicle up to $175 to $200 per vehicle per year. And the gas tax went up a minimum of 12 cents per gallon up to 15 cents per gallon and 20 cents per gallon for diesel. So if you happen to be a truck driver in California, bend over, baby.
Bohica, bend over. Here it comes.
Here it comes again.
So my motorcycle, it cost me over $200 to register. My motorcycle.
Wait a minute. Motorcycles were supposed to be frugal, a good way of getting around, of minimizing your carbon footprint.
My motorcycle.
And you just got bent over as well.
Oh,
also, in 2006, he and the legislature allocated an additional $150 million to stem cell research, supported a successful move to raise the minimum wage, and passed the Global Warming Solutions Act, which targeted a reduction of 25% in greenhouse gas emissions in the next 20 years. And in 2008, voters passed Prop 1A, authorizing $10 billion for high-speed rail. Gee, what's the cost for high-speed rail now prognosticated to be? Oh, that's right, $75 billion. 7 times, at this point, the original cost. I said this last night. I went down to Fresno about 3 weeks ago. In the process of going down to Fresno, there is an elevated portion of the train to nowhere in Fresno, adjacent Highway 99, just east of Highway 99. It's elevated about 100 feet. It has pillars of concrete down there. That's the only, by the way, section of the high-speed rail that is constructed to this point. It's about 1,000 feet long. So that's what your billions, with a B, your billions of dollars have acquired in the state of California. Meanwhile, even though Schwarzenegger remained governor, the Democrats steadily expanded their majority in the state assembly. Then in 2010, Democrat Jerry Brown was elected governor, and with the 2012 election, Democrats finally attained a supermajority in both houses of the state legislature. This was critical for overriding constant Republican filibusters and passing tax revenue laws, which still required a supermajority by Prop 13 dictates. Another thing they'd like to get rid of, Prop 13, the property taxes. Property taxes, they need to go up as far as they're concerned. Your property taxes must go up. Proposition 13, which was created in the 60s, flatlined property taxes so they cannot go up. A good thing. The supermajority attained in 2012 was the first California legislative supermajority since 1933 and the first one for the Democrats since 1883. This is remarkable considering that in the dysfunctional 1990s, the state assembly and Senate were closely divided between Republicans and Democrats, seemingly light years away from the supermajority Democrats really needed to get things done.
Yes.
Because the Republicans didn't allow things to get done.
No.
Fuck the Republicans. Alongside these developments, Democrat domination of California representation in the U.S. House of Representatives steadily increased. Back in the 1990s, under Republican Governor Pete Wilson, there was essentially parity between Republicans and Democrats in Congress. Today, there is almost a 3-to-1 split, 39-14, in favor of the Democrats. Plus, they control both U.S. Senate seats and every single statewide elected office. There are no longer any Republicans able to mount a credible statewide election. Oh, this is a good thing. He's telling us this isn't just a good thing. This is a great thing.
That's called tyranny.
Well, let's make sure that we tamp down any opposition whatsoever because, as he said, that's what is needed. So going from the zenith of right-wing populism to progressive domination in California did not take very long. That could easily happen in the country as a whole. The national GOP, after the 2016 election, controlled the presidency, the House, the Senate, and a strong majority of governorships and state legislatures. Since then, President Trump has become historically unpopular among American voters, and the GOP Congress and his actions have become widely detested. Again,
that's not true.
Factual errors, but he writes it, therefore it has to be true.
Didn't Trump just come up and almost hit damn near 50%?
Yes, he is up to 50%, which, again, I should care to point out, because it's a requisite. At this point in his presidency, he still, now Obama, the further along he got, the more popular he became, but at this point, he's still neck and neck with popularity of Obama. But the other thing I need to say is that he is more popular at 50% in the United States of America than Justin Trudeau is in Canada, that Angela Merkel is in Germany, than Emmanuel Macron is in France, and Theresa May is in the UK. So, point your fingers at somebody else, leftists, because if you vote, if you value or ascribe some kind of a judgment to the greatness of somebody in terms of polls, look elsewhere.
And, well, not only that, but look what he's doing on the world stage in terms of, look what China just came out and said this week. They're going to roll back their tariffs on us. We don't want a Cold War mentality. We don't need a Cold War mentality.
Whoa, you mean Trump is winning?
Yeah.
Oh, and we've never tried tariffs before because no tariffs were working. That's right. No tariffs. They were working so well for us before. You know, I'm a railroad buff. I'm a railroad devotee and a devotee of history. Every piece of new rail that you see in the state of California, I can't talk about any other state in the nation, comes from Japan. We don't make our own steel here anymore. And yet, when he rolled back tariffs, what were some of the first two things that people said? There was a steel company and an aluminum manufacturer that said because of that, we are going to be reopening one steel plant and one aluminum production plant right here in the United States of America. Oh, that's not winning, though. That's not proper. That's not right. That's right. Just remember, President Trump has become historically unpopular among American voters and the GOP Congress, and its actions have become widely detested. We got about 7 more minutes before the end of the show. Very quickly. Their 2016 triumphs have morphed into a poisonous electoral environment where the GOP in 2018 is probably going to lose control of the House of Representatives and possibly the Senate. Not fact, not fact. Lose governorships and many hundreds of state legislative seats. And while the 2020 election is still a couple of years away, an early forecast from political scientist Eric Rand Smith has Trump, assuming his unpopularity continues, netting only 41% of electoral votes in that election. In short, political change is slow until it's very fast. The fall of the GOP is likely to be no different. Life on the other side of Democratic one-party rule. Oh, and he's saying this is good. This is good to have one-party Democratic rule.
Yes.
There is life. There's life, Clint, on the other side of that Republican political collapse. There is a clear way forward in the land of Democratic progressive supermajorities. California is thriving right now. The economy is booming. California is thriving right now? Bullshit. The economy is booming? Bullshit. Oh, it's booming. Yes, it's booming for the top 1%, the people that he excoriates from the very beginning. California is the precise example that he's pointing his damning finger at and saying at the same time that California is the model to everybody else.
Wait, aren't we 50th?
We're 50th in quality of life.
How can that be?
No. That's just, you can't listen to polls until they want you to listen to polls, but you can't listen to polls. The economy is booming. State government budgets are setting aside surpluses.
The only thing I know about polls is I don't want my daughter on one.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. And those sparkly little things, you can't have anything to do with.
And in California, never mind.
Yeah. Okay. And the public is happy with its political leaders. Well, okay. That's because they're morons or illegals. And as
I'm not happy with mine.
No, I'm not happy with. Well, I am happy with mine. Mine happens to be Tom McClintock.
I'm not happy with mine.
California is leading the world in technological innovation and creative policies to counter climate change. California is not leading in science in terms of any fucking thing else. California is leading in terms of climate change.
That's not true. We're leading in terms of gender.
Operations?
No. Look, the science is inconclusive on that, BZ. If science were conclusive on gender, then California would be leading on that.
Well, that's true. What about the need for checks and balances, you say? Many Americans might be wary of trusting a political environment where one party has complete control of political power. How does society process the range of differences in political opinions in elections and in forming policies? How does that happen? California's faced those same questions and dealt with that new reality. In 2008, voters passed Prop 11, which created a Citizens Redistricting Commission to redraw state legislative districts that over time had been heavily gerrymandered to protect incumbents of both political parties. That commission was insulated from politics and changed districts along with more rational lines that took into consideration natural geography and long-standing contiguous communities.
No.
Which means they just gerrymandered it in a different direction.
Yes.
That's all that means. Then
And I have a solution for that.
Oh, okay.
I have a very simple solution for that.
Okay.
Your district is your county. That's your district.
Sure.
Right?
Oh, you can't have that, though.
Why not?
Oh, evil Clint.
Your district is your city. Your district is your, name it. It's
Whiskey Dale says California leads with the amount of poop on the street.
That's a fact.
That you need a poop mat for, and that's a
fact based in San Francisco.
True.
As a matter of fact, a UC Berkeley, of all places, Berkeley, a UC Berkeley professor came out and said that San Francisco is dirtier than a lot of developing countries.
Which happens to be true.
Yes. Anyways, was that article done?
No, a little bit more.
Yeah.
Alongside that effort, voters in 2010 also passed Prop 14, a state constitutional amendment that established a top 2 primary system in which all candidates, regardless of party, are placed on the same primary ballot, and the 2 top vote getters, regardless of party, head into the general election.
That just ensured?
That just ensured.
That just ensured you will never have another Republican.
That's right.
That's exactly what that ensured.
Democrats in perpetuity, which is their goal, and they're stating that is their goal in this article.
Absolutely.
But here comes another lie. The immediate result was to bolster competition within almost all districts. In a district populated by Democrats, the voters still got a choice between, say, a more progressive candidate and a moderate candidate, who were both Democrats.
Yeah.
By the way, politics in California today still has a range of political differences that get worked out within political bodies. The city council, within Democrats, the city council of San Francisco, all Democrats, is made up of all Democrats, but is often trapped in fierce policy battles between supervisors who are more left of center than their colleagues who are more moderate and supportive of the tech industry. However, everyone on that city council is a Democrat and would be considered a progressive Democrat in the national context. They all embrace creating a diverse society, fighting climate change, etc. The California legislature holds a similar range of political opinions, from very left to pro-business Democrat, but they almost all operate within a worldview that shares much common ground, a worldview that is not shared by the few remaining Republicans still in the chambers. In short, California has a supermajority of 60% of the population, and thus a supermajority of elected officials who share a common vision of a general way forward. Their differences are worked out within the confines of that general vision. California Republicans, like their conservative national colleagues, don't share that general vision, and so they've been pushed out of serious political discourse. They were beaten, and beaten badly, and they almost certainly won't be part of that discourse until they go through a lengthy process of reform over many years. Now, to you, lengthy process of reform over many years, what does that mean to you, Clint? I can tell you what it means to me. They're not going to do anything or go anywhere until they come around to the Democrat way of thinking, period. End of statement.
Yeah.
That's what it means to me.
No, that's exactly what it means to me too. It means that there is no Republican Party unless the Republican Party becomes synonymous with the Democratic Party.
Exactly.
And so maybe the Republican Party is like the more moderate Democrats who favor Silicon Valley,
right.
and the Democrats are the truly progressive ones. That's exactly what that means.
That's true.
That's exactly what that means to me.
And then the final header, the final battle begins in 2018. America is desperate for a functioning political supermajority. Desperate for a functioning political supermajority.
No, we're not.
That can break out of our political stasis and,
no, we're not.
And boldly move ahead and take on our many 21st century challenges.
Hey, I got a response for this fucktard.
Okay.
Hey, jackass. Amend the fucking Constitution.
Sure. Well, we'll see how far that goes.
Yeah.
In the House and the Senate.
Yeah. Look, if you hate our way of life and you hate our system of government, go somewhere else. And look, I mean, he's basically
change it.
He is basically calling for the eradication of political opponents. God, who else did that?
Well, he's calling for a civil war. He is calling for a civil war.
No, he's not. He's calling it under the guise of a civil war, but it's not. He's not calling for a civil war. He is calling for a revolution. He doesn't just want a civil war because, I mean, based on two ideologies, yeah, he's calling for a civil war in terms of maybe if we fight a war, it would be considered a civil war. But what he's actually calling for, the civil war would be a result. He is calling for a revolution. He is calling for the overthrow of political opponents so that there is no...
Clearly, Very
so
clearly.
so that there is no more political opposition. Same thing that the fascists did in Nazi Germany, same thing that the communists did in the former Soviet Union. That's what he's not advocating for a civil war. The civil war would be the result, the interim result of his violent revolution, his overthrow of this particular system of government.
Well, listen to this.
No, where am I wrong?
No, and you're absolutely correct, and you're going to get proven again correct with this statement. The nation can't take much more of our one step forward, one step back politics that gets little done despite the need for massive changes. America today has many parallels to America in the 1850s or America in the 1930s. Both of those decades ended with one side definitely winning, forming a political supermajority that restructured systems going forward to solve our problems once and for all. Once and for all. Let that be a lesson. They want this to be done. They want to be in power in perpetuity once and for all. They are saying it overtly now.
And that is the very definition of tyranny. And that, folks, is what we're here to fight on this show.
It is.
It's 10 o'clock, BZ.
We're going to go over just a little bit because I only have 1 or 2 more pages left. Okay, hey, it's our show we get to, and there's nobody following us. I happen to just know this, as a matter of fact. In the 1850s, we fought the Civil War, and the Republican Party won and then dominated American politics for 50 years. In the 1930s, the Democratic Party won and dominated American politics for roughly the same amount of time. America today is in a similar position. Our technologies, our economy, our geopolitics are going through fundamental changes. We are facing new challenges like climate change. And again, it's all about climate change, climate change, climate change, climate change, and climate change, and massive economic inequality, just like California. Perfect poster child, California, for that, for economic inequality that must be addressed with fundamental reforms. Okay, stop there just for a second. And so what is California doing to do that? Because he's saying California is the ideal to which we must all ascribe, and yet California is a piece of shit.
Yes, we must all ascribe to be last.
And again, the disparity of the number of people from homeless that, by the way, states are sending their homeless to the state of California because California pays so well, so much free shit. America, he continues, these are the final 2 paragraphs. America cannot afford more political paralysis. One side or the other must win. This is a civil war that can be won without firing a shot, but it is a fundamental conflict between 2 worldviews that must be resolved in short order. California, listen to this, this is all a lie, and you must recognize it as such. California, as usual, resolved it early. Look around, Clint. Do you think California has resolved all these problems early?
No.
The Democrats won, the Republicans lost, the conservative way forward lost, the progressive way forward began. As we've laid out in this series, California is the future, always about 15 years ahead of the rest of the country. That means that America, starting in 2018, is going to resolve it too.
Something interesting that he said. He said this can be won without firing a shot. Not this must be won without firing a shot.
And nor did he say won't be
correct.
won.
Correct.
And what is not said frequently is equally as important, if not more so, than what is specifically said by an individual or a group, which is why I had to read the article. Folks, if you don't believe me that this article exists, Peter Leyden, Leyden, The Great Lesson of California in America's New Civil War. And so I submit many of the things that he said was true, and I submit this in closing, that every bit of stridency that he demands on the part of Democrats should be resisted completely and fully by elements of the right and conservatives, and don't give an inch. The header on the top of my blog says, I am pushback, and I exist to point out I'm not here to be equal. I'm not here for equanimity. I'm here to point out the shit that the rest of the American media maggots, Demorats, and leftists won't tell you. And that is purposeful. And so if you want to see an exercise in futility and failure, just let California continue on its course as it continues to bleed about 10,000 of the middle-class persons with whom it cannot exist, because you cannot have the rich are not going to continue to want to live in environments where there's squalor all around. That's why the people, the elitists, are fleeing San Francisco because of the quality of life. California's 50th in the quality of life. And the people in San Francisco who once were inhabiting those big towers up there, you know, sooner or later, you got to come down from your tower and open that door on the street. And you're going to step into a pile of shit, and you're going to find that your car's been burglarized, and you're going to have somebody try to hit you on the head with a crowbar and take your cash and run away. And that's the California dream.
And then they're going to move somewhere else and bring their same politics, because they're not going to realize the folly, and bring it somewhere else to another city.
Wow. Hey, if we can import Mexicans into California, why can't we export all this
leftists?
Maybe that should be the #1 export of the state of California. What do you think?
We need a bumper sticker. Import Mexicans.
Yeah.
Export leftists.
Export leftists. That bumper sticker is here, dude. In over the weekend, I'm gonna have to make a bumper sticker.
Import Mexicans, export leftists.
And I'm gonna have to, like, put it behind me here.
Oh man,
like my license plate.
I'd buy. Yeah,
folks, did you dig my license plate tonight? This was the first episode of Sackheads Against Tyranny. I had a great time, Clint. What about you?
Yeah, I had a great time. I'm excited to see where the show goes.
I am too. Okay,
this is
folks,
like soothing music.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice way to end the show. Folks, tune in again next week. Sackheads against Tyranny.
What
Jesus.
the fuck?
I know. Next Wednesday, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Be here.
Good night, America.
Aloha.